my water just broke. I felt like things really intensified.
She was right there and she was coming.
It was an amazing feeling.
I'm gonna cry just thinking about it. I could feel her head.
We heard her cry. We were squeezing hands and she was screaming.
I'm Bryn Hunt Palmer, and you're listening to The Birth Hour. This podcast is designed as a safe place to come together and share childbirth stories. Stick around and join us to hear informative and empowering birth journeys from all over the world. If you're new to The Birth Hour, you may not know that we have an online childbirth course that is evidence-based. It includes 12 modules that take you from your final weeks of pregnancy through obviously preparing for birth and then postpartum and feeding your baby as well. And with enrollment in that course, which is called Know Your Options, you'll get free access to our other course called Beyond the First Latch, where we talk all about pumping, feeding baby, storing milk, going back to paid work if that's part of your plan, all of those things as well. Okay, so if you go to thebirthhour.com/course, you can see everything laid out in the course, module by module, as well as an FAQ section, which will hopefully answer some of your questions if you have any, things like how to get it covered by an FSA account and things like that. It also talks about the bonuses that come with the course, including bi-monthly Zoom calls and access to our private Facebook group. So again, that's thebirthhour.com/course. And you can use the coupon code 100OFF for $100 off enrollment as a podcast listener. We would also love to welcome you into our listener supporter group via Patreon. That's at patreon.com/birthhour. And by becoming a Patreon supporter, you get access to all of our archived episodes. This podcast launched in 2015, so we have over 800 episodes in the archives that are not in the main podcast feed, so you can get your fill of birth stories. And you'll also get access to our private Facebook group for Patreon members, which is a great place to honestly just to search the past posts to get answers to questions, but then of course to ask new questions, find community. It's a really, really great supportive group of people. So I highly recommend joining that. We would love to have you there. We also do monthly Zoom calls with our Patreon supporters, and you get an opportunity to enter your birth story via a different submission form than everyone else uses, and we choose 2 Patreon members each month to share their birth stories. So that is again at patreon.com/birthhour. Today's episode is brought to you by Air Doctor. Americans spend an average of 90% of their time indoors, but did you know that indoor air can be up to 100 times more polluted than outdoor air? You can breathe easy with Air Doctor, the award-winning air purifier that eliminates 99.99% of dangerous contaminants like allergens, viruses, smoke, gases, mold spores, and more. Air Doctor was voted Best Air Purifier by Newsweek, so it's no surprise that 98% of Air Doctor customers agree their home's air feels cleaner, safer, and healthier. Unlike other purifiers, Air Doctor captures invisible particles 100 times smaller than standard HEPA filters. We have air purifiers in our bedroom as well as the kids' bedrooms, and everyone has been sleeping better. I love how quiet the Air Doctor is. It's like the perfect amount of white noise. I would absolutely splurge on this for a nursery for baby. Like, get the cheap crib from IKEA and put your money towards this so that your baby has clean air in their nursery. We also have one in our living room, and I've noticed a huge difference after cooking and things like that. It just really clears the room really quickly. Head to airdoctorpro.com and use the promo code BIRTHHOUR to get up to $300 off today. Air Doctor comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee plus a 3-year warranty, which is an $84 value for free. You can get this exclusive podcast-only offer now at airdoctorpro.com, airdoctorpro.com, using the promo code BIRTHHOUR. All right, we are back with part 2 of Ashley's story. If you haven't listened to episode 1003, go back and listen to that first to get the full story. But today we're going to hear how her home birth in their RV went, as well as her postpartum experience. All right, let's hear from Ashley.
I'm getting to meet my baby soon. This is so exciting. So I got in the car preparing for my 45-minute drive home. I called my husband, who was on a break at work, and the hospital that he works at has a piano on the ground floor, and he's a pianist. So he was on break and he was playing the piano and he saw my name come up and he said he almost didn't answer it and like put his phone back down and kept playing. And then was like, oh, wait, she's like pretty pregnant. I should probably pick up the phone. I already talked to her this morning. And if she's calling again, something must be happening. So he picked up and I was like, my water broke. It's happening. And he started checking out of work, trying to get home, called the midwife. She said, can you check your fluid and tell me what color it is? But I had been wearing dark color underwear. I had no idea. And she's like, well, when you get home, you might release more fluid. So just check and let me know. And I called my best friend, Taylor, again. And she said, you're driving? Why are you driving? You're driving for 45 minutes? I said, Taylor, this baby is not going to fall out of me. And she said, no, I know this is going to be a fast birth. You need to get yourself home. So I said, I think we have a little bit of time. I'm not feeling anything yet. I think it's going to be okay. So I did get home and had a lot more fluid release, and it was clear. So that was good news. I did have some mild cramping, but it wasn't the way I had heard ever explained, I guess. And first time mom, I had no idea what to expect. They didn't wrap all the way around and my belly didn't tighten like at all. So it was just confusing to me. And the midwife was like, well, it's probably cart before the horse. It's your body just catching up, letting it know that your water is broke, but don't worry about it. Just contact me when you can't ignore things anymore. So prepped the birth space and I went and showered and really was learning the mind-body connection of relaxing my pelvic floor during a wave. Like it felt like I needed to pee. Like I was like, I don't know, is this a contraction? Is it not a contraction? But also I feel something happening and I feel like I should probably just relax, but then I think I'm going to pee everywhere. So I contacted the doula and she was like, girl, you're about to have a baby. Like put on a pad and just pee everywhere. If that's how you feel, just do it. So again, they're still like, they were really inconsistent. It was kind of like, oh, I think this is it coming on. Maybe it is. Oh, okay, I think it went away. Nope, I think it's still there. So it just was really interesting. I don't know. And I do have a really high pain tolerance and I could feel a sensation, but it wasn't pain and it didn't feel uncomfortable. So that, again, my waters broke at 2 and now at 6 o'clock, my midwife was like, listen, I really want you to just ignore things, stop timing things, eat a meal, put on a show, and go to bed. So we couldn't sit for a show. We tried to put something on and I was like, I just have to keep moving. Again, it wasn't like uncomfortable, but I felt the urge to move. So then my in-laws called at 6:45 and Henry, my husband, was like, so I am pretty sure she's in labor. Like she's saying she's fine and like can't really articulate when they're coming and going. She's totally having conversation, but like the midwife and the doula are saying to stop timing things. And my father-in-law is like, Henry, you need to time them. So where our RV was parked, it was on a friend's land. So we went into her house at about 7 o'clock to say goodnight. And then we were timing them again because my father-in-law was like, no, you need to time them. So we're in the house and we're just talking. And as I'm saying like, okay, it's here. I think it's gone. No, it's here. I had 2 friends timing them, trying to like guess when they were starting and going. And both of them are like, go to the hospital. Like the alert says, go to the hospital if that's what we were doing, which for us, it meant like call the midwife. But I got on the phone with my doula and she was like, I'm telling you, you need to take a Benadryl and go to bed. So we were like, okay, I guess like if that's what the midwife and the doula are saying, we need to just like ignore whatever this is. And about 8 o'clock, we got back to the RV. My best friend Taylor arrived with groceries. I had asked for curry for postpartum meal. So she came back with the groceries. She said, let me just pop them in the house real quick. And I said, no, you're going to have to come in the RV now if you want to have a conversation with me because I'm going to bed. So the next time I see you, I'm going to be fully in labor and we're not going to be able to talk. So she comes into the RV and we're just chit-chatting away. There's a video of me at 8:30 having a conversation. I'm like pacing around the kitchen. I stop, I like take a breath, I squat, and then I'm back up and I'm talking. And yeah, took the Benadryl. And then at 9:00, I went to bed finally and got out my phone and text my prayer chain with an update, letting everybody know what was happening, but we were going to bed. And it was like the moment I laid down flat, my body was like, nope, absolutely not. You will not be laying down. And I feel like I went into a vortex. It's probably labor land is what I went into. And from 9:00, I don't remember much other than having constant movement. It was just Henry and me in the RV at this time. I do have to say I was really happy to not have a birth pool. I don't particularly like the feeling of being wet, like whether it's the beach or the pool or a waterfall. I don't know if it's a sensation thing or what. And people constantly were like, you should have a birth pool. Just have it as an option. And I'm glad I didn't, because I couldn't sit still. Movement was my medicine. And I also don't think there would have been time to fill it and get it ready. And also the RV, that's a lot of birth team people. There's no room for a pool. But I remember pacing back and forth, dilating a lot on the toilet. And I also remember at one point on my active labor checklist, I had turn on our LED candles. And my husband came up to me and he goes, hey, what color would you like the candles? And he said, I shook my head and I said, candles. Or no, I said, questions. That's all I said, questions. And he was like, okay, all right. So yeah, I was pacing around and I remember him also saying, this is what we wanted. And I had in that moment, I never felt this is too much or I can't do it or I want relief, but it did feel really intense. And when he said, this is what we wanted, at a moment where I was like, whoa, yeah, it is. And we chose to do this. People choose to do this. This is labor. This is a lot. So yeah, my bowels did clear at one point on the toilet, but I didn't have any nausea or vomiting. And now 10:00 rolls around. So again, keep in mind 9:00 is when I updated the prayer chain. Henry's now been officially timing for 1 hour without stop or distraction. And at 10:00, he calls the doula and the contraction timer says that we are beyond 411. We're really 311 at this point. And she asked to talk to me and it was between a wave. And she was like, are you tolerating questions? I said, I mean, not really. I guess I can have a conversation right now, but it was almost like I was able to snap out of the labor land to talk to her. And she goes, I just really have a feeling this is going to be a dawn birth. It's going to be a sunrise birth. So I'll check back in with you in a little bit. And my husband said, well, do you think that we should call the midwives? And she said, yeah, I think that's a good idea. So he called the midwives and they picked up the phone when I was in the middle of a surge. And all they said was, it's perfectly reasonable that you called right now. We are on the way immediately. Mm-hmm. So at 10:30, I continued to labor on my own with the support of my husband for a little bit longer. And I knew that the midwives were going to get there soon. So I said, why don't you go in the house and tell the girls that they can come in if they want. I want my birth keepers here, but please let them know I don't need anything. So they can come and they can witness me, but I think I just want to be left alone. So he went and got them, and one of our birth keepers started on an old phone, just put up the phone to record in the corner of the RV. And I'm really glad that we have that recording. It's really special. So she did that. And then just, my best friends, my sisters sat around and just gave me affirmations. And my husband would just stick a glass jar with a straw of sips of water and electrolytes between contractions and just stick it into my mouth so that I didn't have to pause or snap out of my zone. It was here's a straw in your mouth, sip, stay hydrated. And that was really beneficial. I'm glad that he did that. And then at 10:40, I heard the RV door open and I was on my hands and knees in the living room floor and I peeked out of my peripheral and I saw shoes that I didn't recognize. So I knew that it was the midwives, that they were there. And as soon as they walked in, I really felt the urge to bear down. And it was just this almost like uncontrollable moment that like moans kind of turned into grunts almost. And I could hear it and feel it in the way I was vocalizing. So I asked for no checks and a very hands-off birth. I wanted myself or Henry to be the one to catch our baby, and asked for no rubbing. So I really had no clue how far along I was, just really wanted to trust my body to know what to do, when to do it, and really just kept my head down overall. And at one point, I do remember everybody was there. I had been in the zone on my hands and knees. I stood all the way up, put my hands on my hips, looked around the room, took a big breath, and said, wow. And then just leaned back over and went back in. So, just was really vocalizing. And I was like, oh boy. And then it said, open. Wow, open. And just lots of, oh boy, opens, wows, as I was vocalizing. And at one point in my labor playlist, a song came on that everybody started singing. And I said, I'm sorry, no singing, please. I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry. I think I apologized 5 times. But it's like, no singing. I was so focused that I felt like the singing was so distracting. Just knew what I wanted though. Something really special that, I was talking to Phoenix the whole time between contractions. And even before going into labor, I had written in like dry erase marker on my bathroom mirror, head down, arms down, chin tucked, back to mommy's belly. So every day I would just tell him, head down, arms down, chin tucked, back to mommy's belly. So through labor too, I would continue to just give those sweet little reminders. I did lots of lip fluttering, and the more intense things got, the more I leaned in. It was so cool having that mind-body connection where my mind kind of stepped out of the way. I guess it's less of a connection. It's a detachment. My body knew what to do, and my knees like pulled in at a certain point in my baby's descent instead of having my knees out wide, because it shifts the direction of the pelvis. And it was just so amazing to know like my body just did it on its own. Really gave myself permission to roar. And I had printed out a photo of a lion with beautiful roses printed all around it, and had also asked for Taylor to bring some blooming pink roses for us to scatter around the birth space, just for me to have that. Not that my eyes were open now thinking about it in hindsight, but just had all these pink blooming roses all around. And again, just clung to that word open. I moaned it, I repeated it, I roared it. And it was like I didn't just cling to it though. It was almost like I used it as a tool, and not a weapon, but a tool. And I was commanding my body to open. So it wasn't just a coping mechanism, but it was a command. There was one particular open that all of us still talk about. And it was open. And it was with authority. It was not a command. It was a demand. And I remember the roar, but I think I was on the other side. So I had asked Taylor to describe it for me again recently as I was preparing to share this story. And she said it was primal. It was like you were connected to the mother herself. There aren't words to describe it exactly, but primal is my best attempt. I felt it in my core, and it brought all of us to reverence and attention. It was one of the most beautiful moments of my life. And, between waves, I would come back to reality and less Laborlandish the closer I got to delivering my baby. And I spoke out loud in between, like when I would come back to my reality moments, less Laborland. And I would speak out loud to him and said things like, "We can't wait to meet you, Phoenix. You've got this. You don't need to rush. We're all good. We're safe. Perfect timing. You're right on time." And then I changed the playlist to a baby playlist that I had created during my third trimester that I would play every day. And I knew that it was the music that I wanted Phoenix to be born to. So I was able to also speak to our smart speaker and change the playlist. As the midwife was checking his heart rate with the Doppler, it was really, really, really uncomfortable. It was something that I was not prepared for at all. And I think it was the second or third time that she had already gotten all her things set up and she was checking. And I looked up at my husband and I was like, "I need you to kiss me." And he gave me a little kiss. And I said, "No, I need you to really kiss me." And so he started kissing my face and my shoulders. And I said, "Henry, I need you to kiss me." So I don't know, to get through like the discomfort or just needing that extra boost of like all the natural yummy drugs that come with like serotonin, oxytocin, all of that. But that was 5 minutes before Phoenix was born.
Oh my gosh.
That I said, "Really kissed me." And I heard singing might help. But when I rewatched the video, what the midwife said was, she said, "You'll feel a lot of pressure, maybe some stinging." But in my Laborland moment, I heard singing. So with the baby playlist playing, it just was really sweet because I knew all of the songs so well. And I was able to take moments and just sing to him. And that was really cool. So I'm glad that I misunderstood. But yeah, I just continued to flutter my lips. And there was never a moment of fear. It was really just surrender, and used my voice to roar him through the ring of fire. And there was a large string of profanities. And the midwife, she goes, "Yeah, for sure." Just like so matter of fact. And we all still just laugh about it so hard. It was like, I just like cursed. And she said, "Yeah, for sure."
She's like, heard that one before.
Yeah. And just, I was like, "Open, baby, come on." I'm not even from the South. I'm from Chicago, but somehow in this moment, I had a very strong Southern accent. It was like, "Come on, baby, you're doing so good. Let's go, Phoenix. I'm so excited. Open, baby, come on, let's go. You're such a badass little dude. Come on, let's go." That was the contraction before he was born. So then I'm in the wait, and I go, "Wrong way, bud." And then wife was like, "That's normal." And that's something that I wasn't really prepared for either. It was like the turtling that happens.
Yeah.
And so it was a really strange sensation. I was like, "Whoa, we were so close. What do you mean? Where are you going? Wrong way, bud." So now I was in a lunge and moved to my knees. I could feel him coming. So I reached my hands down, and my husband dashed behind me and guided Phoenix into my hands. And despite all of the roaring, I had pushed him out silently, and he came out all at once at 11:11. So I just remember I was like, "You did such a good job, baby. I know. I'm so proud of you. We did it. We did it. I love you so much, baby." And the whole room just erupted in tears when his cry let out. And the cord was a little short, but it was wrapped around his arm. So when we repositioned him and I was able to face him more towards my husband, we noticed his chin dimple right away. My husband and his grandpa actually both have a really, really strong chin dimple. So that was really sweet. It's like, he's got a dimple just like Daddy. And his cries, they just continued to build. And I affirmed, I just said, "You have such a beautiful voice." So yeah, it was exactly how I envisioned it. And there were no distractions, no loud sounds, no bright lights, and no one coaching me on what to do. Just really trusting my ability to birth my baby and just surrounded by my husband and my best friends.
Yeah.
After a moment, I looked around at everybody, finally like checked back in, and I just go, cool. That was my response. Cool.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So like I said, I love a good story. And we were married at 11:11 and he was born at 11:11.
Crazy.
And he granted that wish before 41 weeks with 49 minutes to spare.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. The midwife said it had looked like I gave birth like 5 or 6 times. And so it was really barely any blood. And the placenta it looked like it was right there. And a little tug wasn't working. So they were like, maybe try to go to the bathroom. And we also had planned to keep the placenta attached. So we weren't going to cut the umbilical cord. We wanted to do a cord burning ceremony. And we just really believe that babies are a bridge between heaven and earth, and severing the connection so quickly just didn't feel right to us. So my husband was like carrying Phoenix while the placenta is attached, or while my umbilical cord to the placenta inside, and like in the RV hallway, like squeezing through with the midwives. But I did popped right up, and my midwives, they were like, yo, you did just give birth. I know you feel great, but just slow down. So was able to make it to the bathroom and birth the placenta in there. And that was one of the most feelings. Just, I don't know if anything could have prepared me for that either. Just feeling like a giant loogie coming out of me. So that was really strange. But we ended up having more than an hour with Phoenix before his newborn screen. And we read him a few pages from the book called Hooray for You, because one of the first pages says, perfectly timed, not 1 minute more. You suddenly were not where you were before. Yep, exactly, 11:11. And this is the moment that the doula arrived because my husband had forgotten to call her back after the midwives said, we are on the way. Mm-hmm. And once they got there, he was like, oh no, I forgot to call her back. So he called her, and then she headed in, and she just, I'll never forget the look on her face. She was so shocked. Was not expecting to see a baby. But yeah, then I said, all right, I'm ready for my post-birth meal. And Taylor goes, girl, you gave birth faster than the potatoes could cook. Your curry isn't ready. Because really, she was there at 8, and then we called them in at 10:30, and he was born at 11:11. So it from the time the water breaking at 2, it took a while for it to pick up. But from when I couldn't have a conversation anymore, then it moved pretty quick.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really fast. And the midwives were gone by 2:30 in the morning, and we did the cord burning ceremony at 2:45. And at 3:30, I was tucked in to bed. And my closing words that night were, wow, that was wild. It was intense and primal, but there was nothing orgasmic or pain-free about that.
Yeah.
From my experience, at least. I had listened to some of those books, which I'll talk about in the resources. But yeah, it certainly was really intense. But it was not orgasmic or pain-free. Not this time.
Yeah, I have a hard time envisioning that based on my experiences as well. But it happens, I guess.
Yep.
Okay, so then how was postpartum?
Yeah, postpartum was great. I had a lot of adrenaline and didn't sleep a wink that first night. So at the newborn screen, they found a sacral dimple. So apparently the chin dimple is not the only dimple that is hereditary in the Fox family. So my husband also has a sacral dimple, and his father does too. So there was a moment where I was like, what, like, are we concerned? Do we need to transfer over this? And she's like, I just can't quite tell if the hole is closed or not. So I do recommend going to the pediatrician and having them check it out. And also he was born 6 pounds, 3 ounces and almost 41 weeks. So when we talked to we ended up having an on-call midwife come for the night shift. But that next morning we were talking to our main midwife who we saw through all the prenatals. And she was like, well, he was born pretty small for, being 41 weeks. So I would just go ahead and go to the pediatrician. So I hadn't slept yet, and we were able to get in that very next morning to have the sacral dimple looked at. And that was really hard. It was like, okay, yeah, now I can feel I just gave birth. The plan was to abide by the 5-5-5 rule, which is 5 days in bed, 5 days on the bed, 5 days around the bed for really deep restorative healing. And here I was like 12 hours after I gave birth, out at a pediatrician appointment in the middle of summer. So his dimple was closed, so there was nothing to actually worry about there. But that was like the initial postpartum experience. That was a little scary, but I guess, just not how we envisioned spending that first time.
Right.
The midwives came to the RV. We never felt rushed. It was really, really sweet. The IBCLC that I had was texting me. She came to my house. I was not prepared for the discomfort and pain of the engorgement with my milk coming in. So it was really sweet to have an IBCLC like on call and available to show up to the house to check in with us, because I don't think I cried at all with breastfeeding at the beginning. It was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I did have a couple scary thoughts when I wasn't resting enough. And that was pretty normal, I think, though, because of where we lived, the property, it was a community center, and there was an after party from that festival that had just happened that weekend before. And so they had a big party at the land, and we were like, well, we're going to pop out. It was like Phoenix was maybe 5 or 6 days old. And I did pop out of the RV to go say hi to people with Phoenix. And in that moment, it was like my dog was running around, the music was loud, there was a lot of people arriving, and there was just a lot happening. And I was like, oh my gosh, what if I just trip and fall and land on my baby? And I was like, okay, this is when I need to go just lay back in bed. I'm not just going to fall.
Yeah.
But in general, it was really, really blissful at the beginning. And we considered baby number 2 immediately. We were like, my period came back at 11 weeks postpartum. I think it's because our baby was sleeping so well. And we were like, this is great. We should just go ahead and have another one. But then around 5 or 6 months, Phoenix stopped sleeping so much and is still up every 2.5 to 3.5 hours. So things are a lot different now. And with the lack of sleep, it's more like the lack of connected sleep that is challenging for me. I do get moments of postpartum rage or feeling overwhelmed. And it's really when I don't get a 4-hour stretch. And when people ask me how I'm doing, I tend to be pretty honest. And if I've had a hard night, I'm like, well, I'm pretty tired. And I do just want to say, can we just change the narrative of saying sleep when the baby sleeps?
Yeah.
It would be a luxury to be able to do it. Number one, is a mother really asking for advice when you say sleep when the baby sleeps? Probably not. Number 2, that's a privilege to be able to just sleep when the baby sleeps. A lot of people, they work, they're maintaining a household. We just moved.
Yeah.
So
some people just aren't nappers. I think for me, in the very early days postpartum, you don't have any option but to sleep.
No.
Because your body is just recovering. But
totally.
Past that, it's your mind's going a million miles a minute. And I'm just not a napper unless my body gives me no other option, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
Although I do remember with my third baby, I can't remember where I read it, but it was somebody saying just laying down and closing your eyes for a little bit with no intention of falling asleep is actually really restorative too. So that helped me a little bit to try to do that here and there. But yeah, you're right. Sometimes there's just too much going on or,
Right. Yeah.
doesn't work out.
No. But, we're in it right now. And something that I'm trying to do is just smile with every night waking. And that's really helpful. I've been doing that from the very beginning of postpartum as well. If I would be feeling like really overwhelmed with the wake up, like, oh, I just fell asleep or that wasn't quite enough sleep, is just smiling, just forcing the smile.
Yeah.
And that helps get me through. I'm also learning to ask for help. And that's big for me. So through all of this, I feel like I'm learning, especially from having been a nanny and newborn care specialist, is there's actually no right answer because all babies are different and all families are different. And motherhood is really, really complex. So there's a lot of prior judgments that I had that I'm facing now. And like, okay, what's right for Phoenix and what's right for our family? And another narrative that I'm just going to say that it would be great for us to change to is like in pregnancy in particular, a lot of people are like, just wait for this, just wait for that. But it's usually around negative things. And I just want to say, like, just wait for the first smile and just wait for the first laugh and the first time they reach up for you. Like, that's what you need to just wait for. Like, holy smokes. It is, the love is just overwhelming.
Yeah. That's a good point too. Okay, well, Ashley, what about resources?
Sure, I have a couple books and a handful of them have been named here before, but one that I'm not sure if it has is Spirit Babies. It's a really, really great book that I really enjoyed reading when we were prepping for conception. And then A Cosmic Bond is another one similar to Spirit Babies, and they do have a grounding ritual to help bring baby in once baby's here with like some tapping and foot stroking and palm stroking and prayers. It's really sweet. I did listen to Supernatural Childbirth and Orgasmic Birth. And The First 40 Days is also a really good book about nourishing yourself and resting, and also has some really great rituals in there too. The Business of Being Born documentary, of course. Also something super, super special is we didn't just have a baby shower, but we also had a parent blessing at the baby shower. And then separately, my best friends hosted a mother blessing for me, which really honors the transformation of going from maiden to mother. It's called matrescence. And that transformation isn't given enough honor because it's huge.
Yeah.
So that was really, really, really special. And then product wise, I actually would love to say Tush Baby has been amazing. We used it even when Phoenix was a itty bitty newborn. I used it kind of as like an armrest for breastfeeding. And now as he gets older and he's like up, down, I really have enjoyed using the Tush Baby a lot.
Okay.
And then my Instagram, I was so overwhelmed with being like, this is my dharma. And I really wanted to share my birth video, but didn't know what platform would be accepting of it. And I started an Instagram account just to share my birth video and like little golden nuggets of bringing intentionality and awareness and consciousness into conception and birthing. And that's on Instagram, and it's Blissful Beginnings 1111.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Ashley, for coming on and sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much again to Ashley for sharing her story with us. You can find her show notes by going to thebirthhour.com and searching for her name in the search bar. And if you want to get an air filter from Air Doctor, we absolutely love ours. The address for that is airdoctorpro.com, and use the coupon code BIRTHHOUR to save up to $300 off.
Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, head to thebirthhour.com and click Become a Member to pledge your support. And as a thank you, you'll get an invitation to join our private Facebook group and access to exclusive episodes. Your vote of confidence and support means the world to me.